Have you ever been in a situation where something small goes wrong, but it feels like the end of the world? Maybe you lost your keys, or your phone slipped from your hand and the screen shattered. In those moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to think that your problem is too insignificant for anyone to care about, especially God. But today, I want to share a story from the Bible that shows us just the opposite. It's a quiet, beautiful story that reveals a God who is intimately concerned with even the smallest details of our lives. This is the story of the floating axe head. Our story begins in ancient Israel, during the time of the prophet Elisha. Elisha was the successor to the great prophet Elijah, and he was known for the powerful miracles God performed through him. He led a group of prophets, a community of men dedicated to learning from him and serving God. They lived together, studied together, and shared their lives. As time went on, this community of prophets grew. More and more men were drawn to Elisha's teaching and the vibrant spiritual life they shared. Soon, the place where they were living became too small. Imagine a house where every room is overflowing, where people are bumping elbows at every meal, and there's barely enough space to sleep. That was their reality. The space that once felt like a cozy home now felt cramped and restrictive. So, one day, the company of prophets approached Elisha. They said, "Look, the place where we meet with you is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan River, where each of us can get a pole and build a place for us to live." This was a practical solution to a practical problem. They saw the need, and they came up with a plan. They weren't asking for a miracle. They were ready to put in the hard work themselves. They wanted to roll up their sleeves, head down to the river, and build a new home with their own hands. But there was one thing they wanted. They turned to Elisha and asked, "Won't you please come with your servants?" It's a simple request, but it speaks volumes. They didn't just want his permission, they wanted his presence. They valued his wisdom, his guidance, and his fellowship. They knew that whatever they built would be better if he were there with them. Elisha, always the gentle leader, simply replied, "I will." So, the whole company set off for the Jordan River. It was a scene of bustling activity and hopeful energy. The air was filled with the sound of men working together, the chop of axes against wood, and the murmur of conversation. They were building not just a physical structure, but a future for their community. Each man was doing his part, felling trees to gather the timber they needed for their new home. Among them was one man, working diligently like the rest. We don't know his name, but his story has been preserved for thousands of years. He was using an axe to cut down a tree by the riverbank. He swung the axe again and again, the sharp blade biting into the wood. But this axe wasn't his own. It was borrowed.